What would you do if you walked into your own luxury hotel and saw the woman who broke your heart 8 years ago mopping the floor in a janitor's uniform and beside her a little girl with your exact eyes? That's exactly what happened to Ethan Wilder, a powerful hotel tycoon who thought he had control over everything. Until that moment. What started as a surprise audit to catch employee fraud turned into something much more personal, a secret buried for nearly a decade, a daughter he never knew existed, and a past he thought was long dead, rising right in front of him. But why did Claire, the woman he once loved, keep his own child hidden from him all these years? And what happens when the truth unravels too late, too fast, and in front of the one person who matters most? This story will take you through betrayal, heartbreak, legal battles, and a final chance at healing. But be warned, not everything is as it seems, and one confession will change everything. Stay with us because what happens next will break your heart and then slowly stitch it back together. What the hell are you doing here? The words left Ethan Wilder's mouth before he could stop them, sharp and stunned. His breath caught as the janitor froze mid-motion. The mop clattered to the polished marble floor of the hotel lobby, echoing through the tall atrium like a gunshot. Claire Matthews turned slowly, her eyes widening in disbelief. Her trembling fingers tugged nervously at the hem of her faded gray uniform as she tried to smooth the wrinkles. Her voice was low, defensive. "I work here, obviously." Ethan couldn't look away. 8 years. It had been 8 years since he'd last seen her, since she vanished from his life without a word. And now here she was, scrubbing floors at his hotel in downtown Portland. The sharp lines of his $3,000 tailored Armani suit stood in brutal contrast to the sweat-stained cotton she wore. "I'm the owner. Remember," he said, recovering from the shock, though his voice still trembled. "The real question is, what are you doing working in one of my hotels?" Claire's jaw tightened. She looked away. "Not all of us have empires, Ethan. Some of us need actual jobs." A few feet away, the hotel manager shifted uncomfortably, clearly aware something tense was unfolding. He cleared his throat. "Mr. Wilder, we weren't expecting your visit. If we'd had a heads up, that's the point of a surprise audit." Ramirez Ethan snapped, not taking his eyes off Claire. "To see what happens when the boss isn't expected." The staff nearby froze in awkward silence. Conversations died. Only the distant hum of the elevator broke the tension as Ethan stepped closer. "How long have you been working here?" Claire didn't flinch. 2 years. Ethan felt something twist in his chest. "You've been here for 2 years, and I didn't even know." Claire turned to pick up her mop, her voice clipped. "If the interrogation's over, I have work to do." But before Ethan could respond, a small voice piped up behind them. "Mom, I finished my homework." A little girl ran out from the employee hallway, clutching a notebook to her chest. She couldn't have been older than 7. Her black hair was tied into a loose braid, her backpack slightly oversized for her small frame. She stopped abruptly when she noticed all the adults staring. Claire's face turned pale. "Sophie," she whispered, stepping toward her. "I told you to wait in the break room." It was too late. Ethan stared. Everything else faded. The girl's eyes hazel with a hint of amber, just like his. The same almond shape. The same long lashes. It was like looking at a mirror of his childhood. "Who are you?" the little girl asked, tilting her head with childlike curiosity. Claire tensed. Ethan crouched slightly as if to match her eye level, his voice gentler now. "My name is Ethan. I'm an old friend of your mom's." "Sophie, go find Miss Linda in the cafeteria," Claire ordered with a quivering voice. "I'll be right there." The girl looked confused but obeyed. When she disappeared down the hall, silence descended like a fog. "How old is she?" Ethan asked, voice barely audible. Claire gripped the mop tighter. "That's none of your business." "Claire." He stepped forward, the pieces fitting together in his mind too neatly. "How old is she?" 7 years. And 5 months. Ethan's breath caught. 7 years and 5 months. His lips parted, but he didn't need to say it. The look on his face made it clear. "She's my daughter," he said. Not a question, a declaration. Gasps rippled from the nearby staff. Ramirez looked like someone had thrown ice water on him. "Go to hell, Ethan," Claire snapped, her voice shaking. "You don't get to walk in after 8 years and claim that." "I need answers," his voice cracked. "I need the truth." "Not here," she hissed, glancing around at the growing crowd. "Not now." "I'm not walking away," he said, stepping even closer. I deserve to know. She deserves to know. I get off at 6. Her voice dropped to a low, trembling whisper. If you really care, wait. You've waited 8 years. A few more hours won't kill you. She turned and walked away, head held high, but steps unsteady. Ethan stood there, unable to move the ground, shifting under his feet. His heart thundered in his chest. His entire reason for coming to Portland, an unannounced audit to uncover financial corruption, now seemed meaningless. A ghost from his past had appeared in a janitor's uniform, holding a secret he never imagined. A daughter. His daughter. And she had his eyes. At 6:30 sharp, Ethan paced inside the presidential suite. 6:45, no knock. 7:15, nothing. By 8:00, he was calling the front desk. Has Claire Matthews left the building? She left 2 hours ago, sir, the receptionist replied nervously. She asked for early dismissal, said she wasn't feeling well. Ethan stared at the phone in disbelief, then slammed it down. She'd run. Again. But this time she wasn't running from him. She was running from the truth, and he couldn't let her. He grabbed his coat and stormed toward the employee files. If Claire wouldn't tell him what happened, he would find out himself. I'm so sorry to interrupt the story right here, but we'll continue in the next part very soon. Before we do, let me ask you this. Do you think Claire had a good reason to keep Sophie a secret for all these years? And if you were Ethan, what would you do next after discovering you had a daughter? Let us know in the comments below. And by the way, where in the world are you watching this from? We'd love to know. If this story moved you even a little, please tap the heart and like the video. It truly helps us bring you more stories like this. Ethan moved through the administrative hallway like a man possessed. The opulence of the presidential suite was gone. Now he was knee-deep in the staff archives, alone, sleeves rolled, tie loosened. The cool professionalism he usually carried like armor had shattered the moment Claire walked away. He found her file in the housekeeping drawer. Thin, too thin. It had basic HR documents, hiring forms, ID, copy, tax information, but nothing about a child. No emergency contact listed. No mention of a dependent. No clue about Sophie. Frustrated, he headed to the old storage room in the back, rarely used, filled with dusty boxes and forgotten photo albums. He rifled through piles until one box caught his attention. Hotel Events 2017-2018. That was the year Claire disappeared from his life. Ethan pulled out a stack of photos from a holiday staff party. And there she was. Claire stood near the Christmas tree wearing a red dress, a plastic cup in her hand, smiling awkwardly for the camera. Her body slightly turned, one hand pressed gently against her midsection. She was pregnant, visibly, 7 months at least. Ethan's knees buckled. He sank into a chair, the photo shaking between his fingers. Everything he feared was true. Sophie wasn't just a possibility, she was real, and Claire had carried that truth alone. But why hadn't Claire told him? Why disappear completely? His thoughts spiraled, desperate and messy. At dawn, he called someone he hadn't spoken to in years, his former assistant, Jenna Wallace. She picked up on the third ring, her voice wary. Mr. Wilder, I need the truth, Jenna, Ethan said coldly. Did Claire ever try to contact me after we broke up? There was silence. A long one. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. Don't lie to me. His voice dropped to a dangerous calm. I know about Sophie. My daughter. Claire said she tried to tell me. I want to know what you did. A long exhale. Then I didn't think she was good for you. I was trying to protect you. You deleted her messages. I did more than that, Jenna admitted. I intercepted her emails, blocked her number. I even told her you were with someone else, that you wanted nothing to do with her. Ethan was silent. I'm sorry, she whispered. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake. He hung up without another word. Hours later, he tracked down Grace Nolan, Claire's best friend. She met him reluctantly at a nearby cafe, arms crossed, eyes filled with disdain. I'm not here to fight, Ethan said. I just want to understand. You want to understand, Grace snapped. Claire called your office 10 times. She emailed. She even showed up. And every time your precious Jenna told her to get lost. I didn't know, he whispered. Well, you know now. Claire worked 3 jobs when Sophie was a baby. She slept 4 hours a night. She didn't want your money, Ethan. She just wanted you to care. I do care, he said quietly. Too late for that. Grace stood. If you really cares, stop trying to fix things with lawyers and court dates. Start by listening to what Claire's been through. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. The next morning, he waited for Claire near the service entrance of the hotel. She arrived with Sophie, who skipped ahead toward the break room. Claire spotted him instantly, her face turning to stone. "Don't," she warned. "I need to talk to you. Alone." He gently took her arm and led her into a quiet corner. "You lied to me," he said, eyes burning. "She's mine." Claire pulled back. "Are you spying on me now? I found a photo from 2017. You were pregnant," and Jenna admitted what she did. Claire froze. She confessed. She deleted everything. "She told you I didn't care." Claire's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was sharp. "And you believed her. You moved on, built your empire. While I was in a hospital alone giving birth to your child, I didn't know." "That's the problem, Ethan. You didn't know because you didn't want to. I want to be her father now." Claire laughed bitterly. "You think you can just appear and play daddy? Where were you when she had asthma attacks at 3 a.m., when she asked if all families had only one parent? You can't just show up and claim her. I'm not trying to take her from you. I just want to be there." "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "I saw the legal notice. You filed for joint custody." "I was desperate," he said. "I didn't know how else to fight for her." "You think this is a fight? She's not a prize, Ethan. She's a little girl." "I know," he said softly. "That's why I'm done fighting. I just want to be part of her life. Whatever way you'll let me." Claire's shoulders slumped. "Then stop pushing. She doesn't even know who you are." "Then let me tell her. Please." Claire stared at him for a long, hollow moment. "Tonight, 8 o'clock. Come to our place. Sophie will be with my mom, and we'll talk." Ethan nodded, heart pounding. That night would change everything. "I'm sorry to leave you hanging here, but we'll continue the next part shortly. Until then, tell me this. Do you think Claire has every right to be this angry after what she went through alone? And should Ethan be forgiven for something he didn't know was happening? Comment below with your thoughts, and we'd really love to know what country are you watching from today. If you're enjoying this story, please give us a like and send some love by tapping that heart. Your support means the world. Ethan stood outside Claire's apartment door, heart pounding like it hadn't in years. In his hand was a small box wrapped in blue paper. Inside was a framed photo of himself as a baby in his father's arms. Something to remind Sophie that family had roots even if they'd been buried for too long. The door creaked open. Claire looked exhausted. Her hair was pulled back into a messy bun, and she wore the same cautious expression he'd seen that day in the hotel lobby. But she stepped aside and let him in. The apartment was modest, warm. Toys were neatly tucked into a corner, and drawings were taped to the fridge. Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. This was her world, a world he never got to be a part of. "Coffee?" Claire offered quietly. He nodded. They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table. Two mugs, two people who had once loved each other deeply. Now they were strangers bound by a child neither had expected to raise apart. "I talked to my lawyer today," Ethan began. Claire stiffened. "No," he added quickly, "not for court. I told him I'm dropping the case. There won't be any custody battle." Claire's shoulders dropped. She stared into her coffee. "Why the change?" "Because I finally realized this isn't about what I want. It's about what Sophie needs." There was a long silence. Then Claire spoke, her voice quieter than a whisper. "She asks about you all the time now. She doesn't know who you are yet, but she feels something. She's smart and sensitive. She gets that from you," Ethan said softly. Claire gave him a look. "She gets a lot from you, too. Those eyes, I see them every time she laughs." Ethan smiled, but it was bittersweet. "When do you think we should tell her?" Claire thought for a moment. "Tomorrow night, dinner, just the three of us. We'll do it together." The next evening, Sophie bounced in her chair, feet swinging under the table. The lasagna was barely touched. "Why is this a special dinner?" she asked, squinting with suspicion. Claire glanced at Ethan. He gave her a gentle nod. "Sophie," Claire said slowly, "you've asked about your dad before, right?" Sophie nodded. Her big eyes were suddenly wide and still. "Well," Claire continued, "he's here. He's been here for a while now, learning how to be in our lives. He didn't know about you before, but now he does. Sophie looked at Ethan. You, she asked. He nodded hard in his throat. Me? Why didn't you come sooner? Because I didn't know you existed, sweetheart, he said gently. And that's something I'll regret for the rest of my life. Sophie blinked, then stood and walked toward him. Ethan held his breath. She reached out her small arms and hugged him. Tight. I'm glad you're here now, she whispered. That night, as she lay curled up in bed, Claire and Ethan stood in the doorway. Neither said anything for a long time. She called me Dad before she fell asleep, Ethan murmured. Claire's hand moved to her mouth, hiding the tears. I heard. They didn't need to say more. Weeks passed. Slowly, carefully, their lives found a new rhythm. Ethan didn't push. He showed up on weekends at school events for bedtime stories. He helped with homework, learned Sophie's favorite songs, made pancakes in funny shapes. Claire watched it all with guarded eyes, until the guards started to drop. One afternoon in the park, Sophie flew her kite while Ethan and Claire sat on a nearby bench. You're not what I expected, she said quietly. Ethan chuckled. Let me guess. Controlling, arrogant, and unavailable, Claire smiled just a little. Something like that. I was, he admitted, but she changed everything. Claire glanced at him. You really love her. I'd burn the world for her, Ethan said without hesitation, and she believed him. Then came an unexpected twist. I've been offered a promotion, Claire told him one evening. Management track. Better pay. But it's in Denver. The words hung in the air. Ethan looked stunned. That's hours away. I haven't accepted yet. What does Sophie think she doesn't know? Ethan stood. Claire, I just got her. Please don't take her away. Claire rose too, her voice soft but firm. I'm not taking her away. I'm trying to build a future for both of us. They stood face to face, history between them. Then a voice came from the hallway. Why are you fighting again? Sophie stood barefoot, clutching her stuffed animal. They froze. Claire bent down. We're not fighting, sweetie. Just talking about grown-up stuff. Is it because of me? Sophie asked, her voice trembling. Ethan walked to her and knelt. Never. You're the best thing that's ever happened to us. Sophie hugged him. Claire watched, and something inside her shifted. In the end, she declined the offer in Denver. Not because she gave up on ambition, but because she realized something else mattered more: a shared life, even if imperfect. 3 months later, they sat in the audience of Sophie's ballet recital. Ethan held the flowers, Claire held the camera. Their eyes met. They smiled. Not lovers, not enemies. Just two people who fought, failed, forgave, and in the middle of it all, raised a child neither could stop loving. So, was this the perfect family? No, but it was real. And in the real world, sometimes that's the kind that lasts. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Do you think Claire made the right choice by staying and building this version of family with Ethan? And should forgiveness always be possible when the truth finally comes out? Tell us in the comments. What did you think of this story if you loved it? Comment number 3. If you felt it was just okay, type number 2. And if you think it could have been better, let us know with number 1. Also, we'd love to know what country are you watching this from. Please hit that like button, tap the heart, and share this video with someone who still believes in second chances.